should have on your screen right now the blog post that came out yesterday that has our agenda and whatnot in it. You can see I changed the formatting a little bit. I think it kind of looks pretty good. We have our guest on tonight, Dean Rainey.
That's right. Yeah.
And Dan Hartman. They're going to tell you the story, if you don't know it already, of Dan's son Sean, and we're going to get to that a little bit. I just want to let you know that Dan testified on day 2 of the Toronto hearings at the NCI. That's when I first heard his story. And we've had a number of folks who have similar stories on, and we've talked to. As a matter of fact, Devon Harper is online tonight as well, and you all know the story of his brother Garnet. So we're gonna come back to that in a little bit, but we're gonna go through the business of the organization first. And let's see. So the official agenda. I'll always do the opening here. So welcome everybody to this week's Manitoba Stronger Together Zoom meeting. Thank you for taking the time to join us. These gatherings are about more than just sharing information. They're about fostering connection, courage, and strong, informed community, rooted in truth and respectful dialogue. We're glad you're here. Meeting format. A quick note about the format. Our meetings run for approximately 16 minutes. While everyone's welcome to participate in the discussion, please note that only the featured guest presentations are video recorded. This approach helps protect participants' privacy and ensures a comfortable, open environment for conversation and Q&A. Respectful atmosphere. Manitoba Stronger Together is committed to maintaining a respectful and thoughtful environment for discussion. Our guest speakers may express views that are their own and not necessarily those of MST. And that's perfectly fine. We're not CBC. We don't censor everybody. We don't only show you one side of the coin. We value a diversity of perspectives and believe that open civil dialogue is essential to a healthy, informed community. The next thing you've got on our screen, that's all of our social media links. If you're trying to find us on Rumble or YouTube or Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Gab. And so you can come back to this blog post, which is on our site, and you can click on those to update yourself. Now with that, we're going to get into the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region updates, and we're going to turn to Anthony Madden. Anthony, you want to update us on what's going on with the WMR?
Sure. Some good news. Last Tuesday, Taché opted out of the WMR. That's great. And then Wednesday, coincidentally, the RM of Rockwood opted out of the WMR. So that's 8 municipalities that have opted out. I applied to be a delegate to go to Stonewall's Council this week, and they've been giving me the runaround. This would be my 3rd attempt to get them to opt out. But they've changed the game a little bit, and now they want my questions up front, and they wanted my presentation up front, which they've never asked for before. So it's just another stall tactic, and they know they're losing this game, so they're just stalling as best they can. Yeah. And I think probably realistically in the next week or two, you're going to see another 1 or 2 municipalities opt out.
Yeah.
It's the House of Dominoes is collapsing on them.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I met with one of the mayors earlier or last week, and had mentioned that they don't want to be the last ones out. So I think they're going to be having a vote in the next week or 2 and probably opting out. I'm not playing coy, but I don't think it's fair for me to say who that was, since I didn't discuss that with them at the meeting to release that information. But so there's a whole bunch of them that are going to be happening.
Just as another side note, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The RM of Rockwood also opted out of John Q.
Yeah.
Which is the organization that's doing all these daycares, which is under investigation now.
Yep.
So they opted out in October. And coincidentally, it's the same board as the WMR.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
But they opted out in October, and they got their full $7,200 refunded.
Well, they did, eh? Oh,
yeah, they got it. They got it refunded. So they're out.
Well, that was an interesting discussion at the board meeting. I think it was the January board meeting at the WMR. The question was raised as to whether or not communities that withdrew would still have to pay their yearly dues, which is $18,000 plus or minus. And I think it was, I'm trying to remember who it was that said, but one of the ne'er-do-wells on the directorship of the WMR said, "Oh no, you still have to pay your dues whether you're out or not," which is just ridiculous. So there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on at that board. In the last two meetings, they were in terrible disarray. They were talking about all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's just like watching a bunch of wet cats go at each other, you know.
Yeah. Can I just say one other thing, if you don't mind?
Absolutely, fantastic.
I'll put my email in the comments so that if anybody hears anything about a WMR update or any information, they can send it directly to me. If you're okay with that, Ken?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there is a meeting coming up. I know Chris listens in on those meetings every
Yep.
every month. Chris, do you know when the next meeting is? What the date of that meeting is?
I think it was February 18th or 19th. It's the third Thursday of the month.
Oh, okay.
Whatever date that is. I don't have a calendar.
So it's coming up. It's going to be interesting to see how they're
Well, that's the one they're going to have the minister there.
yeah. I wonder if that'll be broadcast. Interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they change their demeanor at this meeting, considering we've been exposing them.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Anthony?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Wonderful. If we have time, I do want to spend a little more time on the MST Municipal Leadership Development Program. It is online. It is a valuable resource, even if you're not going to run. If you want to be a better voter and a better citizen, it's on there. I'll go through that. I don't want to spend too much time on that right now because I do want to give our guests sufficient time to tell their story. But if we have time, we're going to come back to that, and I will be dedicating an evening to that. I just want to remind everybody when you go on to that, maybe I'll just do it here while we're talking. If we go to the municipal election page here, I just clicked on it. Hopefully, there we go. You'll notice that there's two buttons here. I'm a voter and I'm a candidate. And if you click on I'm a candidate, and it'll take you to this page, which talks about being a candidate, what you need to do, what kinds of things you should be asking yourself before you commit to doing this. There's a whole bunch of stuff on here, some steps, and you can see these steps I'm showing you right now are more about how do you decide what you're going to do. You want to be a mayor, you want to be a reeve, what does that mean? And this is a fairly light overview. And you can go down this page and you'll come to this, a MST Municipal Candidate Questionnaire. If you're thinking about running, either as a mayor or a reeve or whatever a counselor, think real hard about filling this form in. If you fill this form in, if nothing else, it's going to help you think through the process of becoming a candidate. And so it's going to ask you questions and that will lead you into thinking about your candidacy. So you can see there's the basic stuff about the contacts. And then there's some questions here: motivation and priorities, experience and backgrounds, issues, transparency, final statement to voters. And then this section here, you can request to appear on this Zoom call, and we'll give you a forum. You can speak to the residents directly. So you put all that in. If you've got some files you want to upload, maybe you have a brochure, you have a CV, maybe whatever else you've got, you can upload them here. You push the submit button. You'll get an email that comes back to you that confirms that we received this from you. And then in the next little while, not immediately, we'll be getting a hold of the candidates and we'll be arranging an information session. Now I'm gonna page back up here because there's some important stuff I skipped over in the very beginning here. And it's these two buttons here. So this is an expand. If you click on this button, it gives you an expanded discussion about what we just looked at. But if you go over to here, it says open learning portal. this is the training course that I've been spending time talking about. Now you'll notice when I clicked on it, it just immediately went to the training course. If you haven't been in it before, it will ask you for a username and a password. You just put in your email address, you make up your own password. It's private. I don't see it. Nobody sees it. It's so that you can control what you're doing. Anyway, so it'll take you into this course. There's a table of contents, and the course is set up into 8 modules. And I think there's 57 or so lessons within that whole thing. I've also been putting in some videos here that have to do with some of these interviews we've been doing lately about becoming a candidate. So it should be a one-stop shop for anybody considering. And again, if you're a voter and you want to be a better voter, it's a good resource for you there as well. So I'm just going to go back on to our agenda.
Can I say something, Ken, just real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was able to book the Mateo Center for the 5th of March, Thursday. So if you want to talk about that.
Oh, I didn't know that you had talked to him and you had gotten it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What Rosalie's talking about is we were talking about arranging for a live event at the Mateo Center in Selkirk. And Rose, you said it was on March 5th?
5th, Thursday evening, yeah.
Thursday evening, March 5th, and starting at 7 o'clock. I will have something where you can sign up shortly, because the Mateo Center is limited to, I don't know what it is with just chair seating in there, but I'm guessing about 200 people. There's a lot of folks that are wanting to know what is going on with this. How can they become a leader in their community? How can they contribute? So we thought the best way to do this is to have a live event. So we'll be getting information out to you as soon as possible on that. You want to consider coming out on March 5th at 7 p.m. at the Mateo Center. That was where we had our Christmas event in December. So there'll be more coming up on that in the next little while. So that brings us to, let's see, upcoming Zoom calls. Next week, we've got Frank Stronach on. He wants to talk about a program that he's working on. And the week after, we supposedly have Mr. Khan on, and we'll see how that turns out. Deb, you want to do your news of the week?
I sure can. It was a fast week last week, just saying. Okay, so from the World Net Daily News, Trump administration ends taxpayer funding for barbaric experiments using fetal tissue from aborted babies. Regina leader post, Jason McKay pleads guilty to brutal Regina murder of wife. Gateway pundit, after 77 years, the U.S. finally withdraws from the globalist World Health Organization, which begs the question, when will Canada follow? Rumble Press for Truth, Dan Dix of Press for Truth speaks with Angelina Ireland about her fight against MAID and the death cult activists that want to shut her down. Substack, Sam Cooper, Ryan Wedding was arrested. Authorities prepare update on alleged drug and murder network. Substack, Peter Sweden, Norwegian dairy producer Tyne has ended the use of Bovaer. And for anybody that's not familiar with that, that was medication that was to be given to the animals to prevent the cow farts from polluting the air. Winnipeg Sun, Canada and Manitoba extend mental health support for farmers. Rumble Lavigne show, that was promoting Sean Hartman's documentary, The Shot, starting screening shortly. CBAN, that's the Canadian Biotechnology Action Network, announced that Health Canada approved a gene-edited pig for human consumption, but the meat from these genetically engineered, genetically modified, or GM animals will not be labeled for consumers. I suggest that you sign up on this website to get newsletters and send your message to Health Canada, the politicians, in regards to pushback. YouTube, Canada Food Insiders, they talk about cloned meats, companies involved in Health Canada as well as the CFIA. Juno News, China snags Canadian gold mining company in a $5.5 billion takeover. And The last but not least, Juno News, Liberal gun grab hits wall as 15 police forces across Canada refuse to enforce the confiscations. So our number one win of the week was Gateway Pundit. After 77 years, the US pulls out of the World Health Organization. Our win of the week, number two, was Dan Dix speaking with Angela Ireland about her fight against MAID. And our win of the week for number three is CBAN, announcing that Health Canada approved a gene-edited pig for human consumption with no labeling. An honorable mention was Juno News, Liberal gun grab hits wall.
Wonderful. Thank you, Deb. You want to go right into the helpful hints this week?
I can, yes. This is basically still a continuation of our vitamin D and how it helps with seasonal depression, also known as SAD. Vitamin D is known to many people as the sunshine vitamin, and it does well. You can get it from fatty fish and eggs, being twice as effective as plant-based D2. Beyond the deficiencies of B vitamins, magnesium, and zinc starve your brain of neurotransmitters, leading to fog, numbness, and fatigue. And there are two things that you can do about this. Go out for a good long walk, be outside, make sure you don't have your sunglasses on so that you get the sun rays that you need, or log on to the True Hope webpage. They are fantastic in dealing with mental health issues. They've got over 35 studies written from all over the world supporting their work. So it's just something to think about. And that's basically it for this week. We'll finish the last of the vitamin D saga next week, and we'll talk about a couple of easy recipes that would be good for you to get your vitamin D in through your food.
Thank you, Deb. Whenever you talk about vitamin C, I always think of my 9 brothers and sisters and I lining up in the kitchen, taking a tablespoonful of cod liver oil from my mother.
Oh, that cod liver oil. I didn't even like the smell of it, let alone the taste.
Thanks for having both Dan and I on. It's a privilege to come and speak to you.
Well, it's good to see you. I mean, I don't know how many folks know your story. It's certainly getting out there. And I think the first I heard of it was in 2023 when Dan came out to the hearings in Toronto. Dan, you testified in the second day of hearings in Toronto at the NCI, and I had an opportunity to hear you there. And I have watched the documentary. It's a very good one, and it's there's a lot of folks on it that are good friends of this organization, and so we recognize a lot of people there. Do you guys want to talk a little bit and then go to the trailer? I have the trailer queued up. Would you like to do that first, or would you like to talk a little bit first? Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, well, maybe Dan wants to set this up, introduce himself, and
yeah, Dan, go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Dan. There you go.
Thanks for having us, Ken. In 2021, my only son, who played hockey his whole life, like many Canadian kids, he loved hockey. It was his passion. He was forced to take a vaccine to continue to play the game he loved. And he took one shot of Pfizer and was rushed to the hospital 4 days later to emergency with brown circles around his eyes and vomiting and a rash and an extremely sore shoulder opposite to his injection shoulder. The doctor there did not do any blood work on him whatsoever. He sent him home with a pain reliever for his shoulder. And 33 days after my boy took his first Pfizer shot, he was found dead on the floor beside his bed in the morning of September 27, 2021. I had to wait 3 long months for autopsy results in Toronto, and they came back with cause of death unascertained. They didn't know how my son died. They couldn't tell me how he died. And I knew something was wrong. My boy was healthy. He was a hockey player, didn't drink, never had a drop of alcohol in his life, never had a cigarette. I knew something was wrong, so I sent his tissue samples to America to Dr. Ryan Cole, who stained his tissue samples and found a tremendous amount of spike protein in his adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands control your blood pressure, so likely my son got up in the middle of the night and knew something was wrong and collapsed and died. I was running out of time to do anything about this. I was down to my last 2 months, and a lawyer from British Columbia named Omar Sheikh reached out to me and said, call me. I did, thank God, and we have the very first lawsuit in North America against Pfizer for wrongful death. And we're also suing Health Canada. Health Canada struck our lawsuit the first time, and we appealed, and that appeal was heard in Toronto on January 26th in Canada's highest court of appeals before 3 judges. I think my lawyer did really awesome. He really knows what he's doing when it comes to fighting the government. He's very experienced. And now we have to wait for the decision of the appeal. It could be 2, 3, 4 months. So then Jason Lavigne, who's a good friend of mine, he's interviewed me several times, reached out to me and said, I'm thinking of doing a documentary about Sean. And I said, oh, wow, that would be so cool. And he teamed up with Dean Rainey, who just had another beautiful documentary called Why Can't We Talk About This? And together they created, in my opinion, the greatest documentary I've ever seen in my life. And it's not just because it's my son. It's because it's so well done, so perfect, so professional. Dean should be a Hollywood producer as far as I'm concerned. It's that good. And the doctors involved in this, we have Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Hodkinson, Dr. Shoemaker, Dr. James Thorpe from America, and Theo Fleury, a Canadian hockey hero. They're all in this documentary, and they're talking about my boy. It's overwhelming for me to watch. I've seen it 3 or 4 times now, and I cry my eyes out every time. It's that well done, and we're doing screenings across Ontario, Ottawa, Peterborough, Whitby, Oakville, Hamilton. There's lots of chances for people to come out and watch. You can go to supportsean.ca and you can look for screenings, or if you know of a venue that would accommodate us, you can request a screening. So that's where we're at now, and the world needs to see this documentary. It's not an anti-vax documentary at all. It's absolute truth. Everything in the documentary is truth, and it's real, and it's time for people to take a look at this and make up their own mind. I think it's amazing, and people will really enjoy it.
It was very well done. I watched it yesterday. Dean, you want to talk a little bit about how you got involved with Jason on this and and the challenges that you faced in creating it?
Yeah, for sure. So my background is I just own a production company down here in Norfolk County in Ontario. I just do a lot of corporate videos. I do historical documentaries. I do cooking shows. I don't really wade in to social issues, controversial topics. But in 2023, a friend I knew in my hometown here of just 3,000 people reached out to me. He's also a filmmaker, and he's retired though. And he reached out to me and said that he thought he had a vaccine injury and that he was just deteriorating. And would I like to make a documentary on it? And I didn't know really what to do. It was certainly not the easiest endeavor to take on. That was, there's a lot of pressure against that, about talking about that. And ultimately that's the film I made, was a film that I struggled to make because no one wanted to talk about this subject. Doctors didn't want to talk, lawyers didn't want to talk, government officials didn't want to talk. But I kept pushing and pushing and pushing and following my friend as he basically disintegrated and ended up in long-term care, paralyzed. And so from that documentary that went out, and we did screenings all across Ontario, and we put it on YouTube. And if you are curious to see it, you can find it at raineymedia.com. And it's there for free for everyone. We just want to get the message out. But there is links there if you want to support the filmmakers, because it costs us money to make these, and because we can't get into theaters or get distribution deals, there's not much ways to make the money back to at least pay the expenses. But anyways, so I made that film, and Jason watched that film. And the interesting thing was, everywhere I went to screen my film, people in the audience came up to me and asked me, have you heard about what happened to Sean Hartman? Have you heard about Sean Hartman? So I quickly learned of what happened. But I didn't know what I could do. I had just finished, I had to pay for this film that I already made by myself and was trying to recoup and also take care of my business with the rest of the stuff. And trust me, I was punished for putting that movie out. People didn't want to hire me afterwards. There was a real moment there where I was villainized in my own community. I have made content living here like 11 years and a beacon of the community, but not when that came out. Since then, thankfully, it's changed, because I think more and more people are just knowing their own people in their own lives are affected by these vaccines. But Jason reached out then and said, I'm going to do a documentary on Dan and what happened to Sean. And I thought, okay, that's great. So when people asked me, I said, okay, Jason Lavigne's on it from the Lavigne show. He's going to take care of it. Don't worry about it. It's in good hands. But then as I saw sort of Jason was very busy with other issues, and knowing the work that goes into these and that Jason hadn't done that before, I kept checking in on him, because I just felt in my heart, this story is too important. This cannot be dropped. This cannot be forgotten. You know, with good intentions, I don't know. I didn't make my first film alone, and I didn't expect Jason to be able to make his first film alone. So then I reached out and said, you know, around before Christmas, and we had some downtime, I said, how you doing? Do you need some help? And I think he just sort of said, yeah, you know what? Here you go. And then my team and I, we just had at it, and we just dug in. And you know, he had some, like Dan said, he had some fabulous, credible, wonderful interviews. Dan just tells his story from the heart, and there was just no messing around. I just went through the interviews, put the story together, and then I got the receipts. Yeah. So I think what you'll find in the film is there are the receipts. There's nothing rhetorical there. I show you the clips of the messaging. I show you the clips of the celebrities promoting these. I show you the clips of the double contradictory statements, the entertainment world, the politicians, and I show you the studies. And so it's all there. And so we're just really excited, I guess, if you can be excited about a film like this, but to get it out there and just really keep this conversation going. And it's so important, because now with Dan's lawsuit, I mean, we got to go. It's go time.
You know, Dan, you obviously don't have to answer this if I'm asking a question that's uncomfortable, but how are you funding the lawsuit? Because these things aren't for free. Have you got a GoFundMe page set up? Are you looking towards earning some money with the showings of the movie? How are you supporting that, and what can we do to help?
Yes, we do have a fundraiser. If that's the only way this can happen, we need all Canadians to chip in a little bit to make this happen, because lawsuits are crazy, crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And if you go on supportsean.ca, there's a button there for donate, and every dollar helps. My lawyer is asking for $500,000 to take on two giants, Pfizer and Health Canada. And the 500 isn't even going to cover the costs.
No.
So not even close. I mean, just a wrongful death lawsuit alone can cost over $1 million. He's taking on two. And so that's the way you can donate, by hitting donate now at the supportsean.ca page. And every dollar goes to my lawyer. I don't see any of it. It's just to fund this fight, because I can't do it alone. I'm a truck driver. I live paycheck to paycheck, and I've told people right from the beginning I can't do this alone. So
we need
help.
Is it just through the website, or is there a GoFundMe as well, or?
Well, there's a Give Send Go, but it's all linked together. If you go to Support Sean, yeah, it's linked to the Give Send Go.
Okay.
Because even when we went to our appeal on January 26th in Toronto, at the end of the hearing, the judges said, what will be the court costs? And my lawyer walked over to the government lawyers and discussed it for a couple minutes. And they came back and they said, if I lose this appeal, they want $47,000 in court costs.
They often use that as a weapon, by the way.
Yes, they want me to give up. They want me to get scared and say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. But I've been doing this for 4 years, day in and day out. It's my life. It's my tears, it's my pain, it's my rage. This is what I'll do for my son. I will die for my son without a question. And I will fight for him until I die, if it takes that long.
Well, you know, I remember when you were at the NCI and when you had finished your testimony, and now it was kind of up to the commissioners to ask questions. And there were there were a number of witnesses where we just kind of went, and what do you say? You know, how do you?
Yeah.
And you were one of them. You know, yeah, Sheila Lewis was another one, and yourself, and I can't remember a lot of the names, but these stories are just so horrendous, and they're a lot more common than folks even know. You know, there's been, according to Dr. Denny Rancourt, Canadian researcher, there's 15,000 people, or I think anywhere between 15,000 and 35,000 people were murdered by the government during the pandemic. So it's not a comfort, but it gives you some idea of the mass, the size of this thing, and to have the government ignoring it. You know, maybe this would be a good time for me to play the screening, and it will give our members a chance to kind of think about what they've heard, and then we'll come back to you guys, and then we'll maybe open it up to some Q&A. Is that okay? Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay. I'm going to share my screen, and so this is the trailer for the documentary.
Welcome back to Cincinnati, where medical personnel have been working on Bill Safety Damar Hamlin for the last 9 minutes. Hamlin made a hit, got up, took a couple of steps, and then just fell to the ground.
In 2021, with the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines, we witnessed cardiac arrests in athletes like we've never seen before.
The evidence is getting stronger all the time, to the point, in my opinion, where it's difficult to argue that the vaccine has not had terrible consequences.
Multiple research reports show that heart inflammation risks tied to the vaccines may be far greater and maybe even more dangerous than previously reported, particularly among young men.
Unfortunately, my only son had to have a shot to play hockey. He was forced into it, coerced into it, told it was safe and effective. After my son Sean took his first Pfizer shot, he was found dead on the floor beside his bed on the morning of September 27th, 2021.
There's tens of thousands of others, children that have been severely harmed by this COVID-19 gene therapy. And so we launched a lawsuit against Pfizer for wrongful death. We also launched a lawsuit against the government of Canada for fraud and deceit.
I miss my boy. I want him back, and I know he's never coming back. And the combination of rage and sadness is powerful. People, please join me in the fight and help me beat them. For Sean and for everybody.
Welcome back to Cincinnati, where medical personnel.
You know, it just occurred to me that I'm wondering if we would be able to do a screening on March 5th when we have the meeting here in Selkirk, Manitoba. We'll talk about that a little bit later offline, and we'll see what we can do there. I believe the facility has that kind of capability, and the owners of that facility are awake. It's actually an interesting story, but in any case, if the membership has questions, please go ahead and raise your hands, and I'll go on with some questions here. But when I see your hands come up, I'll certainly go to you right away. Dan, why was hockey such an important part of Sean's life, and what was his aspirations or future plans? And I asked that because I believe he took the shot, and you had no idea he took it. And I'm wondering what kind of pressure he may have felt that caused him to do that and not tell you about it.
Well, the pressure was just a Canadian kid who loved hockey and he wanted to be with his buddies and play hockey. It was his love. He would talk about hockey even in the summertime when they weren't playing. It's just it was everything to him, and he just wanted to be with his friends. And I guess he saw people all around him were taking it and nothing was happening. And yes, you're right. I had no idea he took it until the day he died. And I told him not to take it. I said, just wait this out and it'll blow over and you'll get to play hockey again.
Yeah.
And I thought I got through to him, but I didn't. He took it without me knowing. And hockey was just everything to him. He just wanted to play the game he loved. And they forced him to take a shot to play it. And then strangely, very, very mysteriously, 2 months after my son died, they dropped the mandate for hockey. If my boy would have waited 2 more months, who knows? I think they stopped the mandate because of Sean. That's what I truly believe.
Well, two terms that don't go together are 17-year-olds and just wait. When you're 17 years old and you're motivated because hockey, you know this better than I do. Hockey is their life when they get to a certain stage and a certain age. And if he was playing still at 17, it was a major part of not only his life, but your family's life too. Your life surrounds the hockey player, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dan, did you not know when he went to the hospital the first time after the first injection?
No, I had no idea he was rushed to emergency. I didn't find that out until after he died either. I asked his doctor to give me his medical records and they weren't going to do it. So I had to hire a lawyer and then they gave up the records pretty damn quick after I got a lawyer demanding them. I had no idea because I don't speak with my ex-wife. We don't get along. So that's part of my pain every day, that I had no idea that he went to the hospital. I had no idea that he took the shot. And trying to deal with that plus the pain of not having him it's horrendous. It's so bad. I've never felt pain like this in my life.
I can't even imagine. Brad, do you have your hand up? Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know if it was mentioned, but what is the date for the court hearing? Have you got that set yet?
No, well, the appeal just happened against Health Canada. That was January 26th, and now we have to wait 2 or 3 months for the 3 judges to make the decision. And as for Pfizer, we just received their statement of defense in December. So we will answer back to that, and the next stage of that should be discovery. And that's a very important stage of a lawsuit. That's when they have to hand us over everything they know, and we hand them everything we're going to fight with.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
You're
all
welcome.
the best.
James, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Hi, Dan. I can't even begin to say what I got to say, but you're not alone, buddy. I've got a niece and a nephew that went behind our backs. And every day we fear, right? I don't like to donate over online. Is there an address that I can send some money to you directly?
Yes, you can go to Answers for Sean at protonmail.com. Answers number 4 SCAN at protonmail.com. I think it's .com or it's .ca. I think it's .com.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gloria, go ahead. You're muted, Gloria. You're muted, Gloria.
Always the same thing.
I tell you what, Gloria, you try to figure that out. I'll go on to the next. I'll come back.
Okay.
Oh, you got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I was just going to ask what the prior question was about the, because a couple of the members were asking about how to send. So that was answered there. Thank you very much. And my deepest condolences about Sean. I was just curious in regards to Sean, has Health Canada and doctors acknowledged the fact that that your son was vaccine injured?
Yes, they know. When Health Canada struck our lawsuit the first time, they said they did not owe Sean a duty of care. That was the official ruling. No duty of care was owed to Sean. So they know damn well he took it. And I couldn't believe that ruling. That's why we appealed. I was ready to give up. I told my lawyer, let's just stop. We're not going to beat the government. And he said, no, 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 we're going to appeal. And that's the appeal that just happened on January 26th. They said no duty of care. And that makes no sense whatsoever, because Health Canada is the very people who told them to take it, the very same people who told them it was safe and effective. They're putting it out there every day. Get your vaccine, get a free order of fries, save grandma. So of course they owe my son a duty of care. And I hope the 3 judges that we just spoke in front of will see that.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to let you know I'm going to make a post on my group, Freedom in Canada is non-negotiable, about anybody that's, if they have the financial means to do so, to contribute to help you. Again, once again, my condolences.
Thank you, Gloria, very much.
I think this whole argument goes well beyond them having a duty of care. There's a whole different argument here when they falsified the documents, and they did. And as you know, Dan, there's a plethora of information on that, including copies of the documents in the 2023 NCI report on that. So if there's anything I can do to help or answer questions, I would be more than happy to do that. Rosalie, go ahead.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to, I was just struck with the thought and how beautiful and powerful it is, Dan, that how you say, you know, you live paycheck to paycheck. But because of the strength and the complete profoundness and the all-consumingness of your love for your son, you're taking on Pfizer and the Canadian government, which, like, that really, honestly, that really hits me when I think about it. And the reason I bring that up is this whole fight in everything that we're doing now. And the power of love is not to be underestimated. So I just want to throw that out there right now. I just thought of it now as I'm listening to you, as I'm watching you. And you know what, this is, I think it's a good question for all of us to ask ourselves, and then even ask other people. In any situation, in anything how much love do you have? How much love do I have? And to do how much? How much am I going to put into this? How much love do I have? I think I mean, that's not just a hairy-fairy mystical question. That's where the power lies, honestly. Because if you can harness your love or recognize it, I mean, look what you're doing. Look at the people you've been in. Look who you got on your documentary. I think this is really something that we can't just skip over. I think it's super powerful. And congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lawrence, you want to go ahead? Lawrence, you know, I know what a good-looking guy you are. It would be great to have a picture of you on there rather than just Lawrence. But go ahead, Lawrence. You're muted. You're still muted. All right. I guess we'll move on. If there's any other questions, just go ahead and ask. Dean, what kind of reactions have you seen so far from the audiences who previewed your film?
Well, no one's seen this one yet. So
I thought you had already done some screening.
No. February 8th is the premiere screening in Barrie. So if you're in the area, come out to Barrie. That is the big one. We have, there's also 2 other teenagers featured in our documentary. Same age. Took the vaccine. One had to take it to travel. And then one took it as well. Just the social pressure alone. She took it as well behind her parents' bath. And both fatal. And so one of the mothers is going to be able to, Shanna is going to come up, and it's a good friend of Dan's now, virtually, and now they're going to meet in person, right, Dan?
Yes, I can't wait to lift her off the ground. She's a very dear friend. We talk every day. Her daughter Auburn was absolutely beautiful, such a pretty girl, and 17, same as Sean, and she's gone, and she took Pfizer. And my other buddy, Alan Martin, he's in the documentary too. We talk almost every day. He lost his daughter Trista, same thing, Pfizer. All these kids were young and healthy, and they're all gone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we share tears together. We share laughter whenever we can, and we support each other.
Lawrence, have you?
All right. I'm unmuted now. Okay. I do have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't know my legalese here, but I seem to remember Rebel Media reporting that there was some kind of a law or act or some sort of a thing that was passed that said that these vaccine companies like Pfizer could not be sued for the vaccines. So if this is true, and I'm probably not 100% accurate on my terminology, but if this is true, how do you get around this if you're going to have a lawsuit against Pfizer?
Well, because there's no immunity protection in Canada. I don't know why they didn't protect themselves that way, but they didn't.
Well,
In
they
America,
had sorry, they had a purchase agreement.
Yeah.
So it was a one-off agreement, but there was a lot of openness to, like, if things go wrong, there are some loopholes you can get through. And sorry, Dan, and then different than the States.
Yeah. In America, they can't sue, unfortunately, because of the PrEP Act. And in Canada, we were able to put in the lawsuit and they let it go ahead. So they didn't strike it. So away we go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is gonna be a hard fight, but I think it's one that we have to have. Canadians are constantly told about this historical event that we should feel bad about, and that historical event that we should feel bad about. But there has been no event in Canadian history that affected the entire population all at once. 43 million people were affected by this. They lost their jobs. They lost their wives, their husbands, their mothers, their children. They were put in terror. How many people have PTSD? How many businesses went out of business? We doubled our national debt. There has never been an event in my opinion, in Canadian history that's had such a huge impact on the number of Canadians. And yet we have MPs. There was one MP just the other day who was asked about this. I think he claimed that he was being ambushed by, I think it was Rebel News or one of the independents, and said that, are we still talking about this? Why are we talking about this anymore? And here we're talking about things that happened 100 years ago or more that affected a few thousand people. And we're spending millions on claims about things that don't exist, but these things that just happened, and they're trying to make it go away. And Dan, apart from the fact that you're doing this for your son, you're also doing it for the rest of Canada, for the Canadians who are trying to make this kind of go away. And we just can't let it go away. It's such a horrible thing. If we let it go away, it'll come back. They're still locking people up for COVID. They're still using the PCR tests. Now they're expanding PCR testing to all kinds of other things. This is not over. And if people like Dan Hartman and people like our members don't stand up and support him and support what's going on, it will continue, and it'll get worse, and it'll get worse, and it'll get worse.
I know that's been the biggest disappointment in my mind, is that it is the biggest thing the globe has ever been through, and there was no debrief. No. And with my first, don't we want to know what we got right, what we got wrong? No. And my first film, I hurried up to get it released in time for the election because I naively thought this might be an election issue. No. Neither side, the Conservatives nor the Liberals, wanted to talk about it. In fact, I was doing some videos, campaign videos for a Conservative running, and he told me, we were told we're not talking this, we're not touching this. And my heart broke. My heart broke because every day I get messages from vaccine injured people going, are we going to break through? Like, they're suffering in silence. They have a stigma attached to them right now. I mean, our work is hopefully bringing that away, and Dan speaking out and just telling the truth. Yeah. And he's just telling the truth day in and day out. And the story doesn't change. Their story is constantly changing. And if we just stick to that, and I feel like our films are like, it's evidence. It's evidence, and it's going to stay here, and it's not going away. And we just keep pushing, and we keep pushing, and we will. Like, eventually, we will have that reckoning. We've had it on all the other issues. We will. And unfortunately, it is just going to take time. It is going to take time and distance from that before we can see it for what it was.
Well, yeah, and we just haven't had an announcement this week that the government of Canada is sealing the records on vaccine injuries for 15 years. I guess that's kind of like when Pfizer tried to seal the records for 75 years, didn't they?
Well, it's a little different because when I did research into it, it's like they're not sealing it. They're just saying this one request was so enormous and involved millions of files, it would take them 15 years.
Oh.
So it's either corruption or incompetence. Well, in this one, it's both.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing they said when Pfizer tried to lock it up for 75 years. Oh, there's just so much. And then they had to release so much every month, and then whatever number of months it was out. You know, Dan, you've come a long way, because I remember when you testified at the NCI, it seems to me, and I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, everybody does, but I mean, it seems to me at the time you were still trying to locate that lab that could do the tissue testing. You knew there was something out there, and you were still kind of trying to figure that out. So you've obviously done that now, and you've got the results back. So it's been a long road for you. You know, when I don't think people often understand what goes on in the background. They see a documentary come on, oh, it just happened, but you've been dealing with this and trying to find your way with almost no help at all.
Yeah, it's nothing short of a war. I'm telling you, it is a war. It needs to be not just me against them, it needs to be us against them.
Yeah.
That's why this lawsuit is so important. And I think the good people who donated to it, I think it's not just because they feel bad for me or Sean. I think it's because there's thousands out there who want to hear that judge say guilty just as bad as me.
Yeah.
And that will bring healing to people who have been injured, to know that you were right all along. I was right all along. What they did is criminal, and a judge needs to say guilty and do the right thing. All I ever asked for from the beginning was the truth. For someone to admit to me that my son died from his shot, and they wouldn't do it. They stayed silent. The Vaccine Injury Support Program denied my claim the first time. Real quick, they said, there's no proof your son died from it. I said, there's no proof he didn't. So how'd you come up with that decision? And they said, well, you can appeal if you want, if you get new evidence. Then I got the report from Dr. Cole, and I appealed VISP, Vaccine Injury Support Program, on May 8th, 2023. Here we are in 2026, and they still haven't made a decision.
Yeah.
It's corruption at its finest. And I don't even want their damn $213 payout, whatever the hell it is. I just want them to admit Sean died from it. I'll extend the olive branch and say it's rare, even though it's not. Okay, admit Sean was one of the rare ones. Can you do that at least? No, they can't. And you're right, not one politician has talked about it. None of them. Pierre doesn't talk about it. Pierre was even asking for more vaccines, and liberals, none of them will ever get my vote until they talk about it.
Well, they were all part of it. It doesn't matter if they were a PC or an NDP or a liberal. Yep. They all were a part of it. They all voted for it. Not one of them stood up.
That's right.
And said anything. Well, that's not true. One of them did stand up, and he got
the guy
in Winnipeg, didn't he?
Yeah,
the leader.
Maxime spoke about it, but I mean, poor guy, he doesn't have a chance.
Not in this country, no.
No.
You know, I wanted to ask you, Dan, what do you hope parents of teenagers take away from watching this documentary and hearing your experience?
Well, even as well as I knew my son, you cannot know everything, especially when they're out amongst their friends. You don't know what they're doing. You don't really know where they are. And it can happen. I cannot save Sean now, but I desperately want to save other parents from having this pain, because there's nothing like it. And just know that in Canada, if you're 12 and older, you can get the shot without parental consent. That alone should be a crime. 12 years old, so your child could go to school and take it. I've heard thousands of stories from parents messaging me saying, I didn't know my child took it.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's insane. And I'm glad you brought that up, because just to demonstrate that further, there's committee hearings going on right now to extend euthanasia to children as young as 12 years old without parental consent. I mean, this is utter madness. And I think it's part of this thing where if we don't push back, if we don't support things, what you're doing and what some other folks are doing, it's just going to keep expanding. It's this a black hole of insanity.
Yeah, make phone calls, call your MP, pressure them every day if you have to. Standing in the middle of a street and yelling freedom isn't going to do anything. They're just laughing at you. They don't care that you're doing that.
Yeah.
We have to join together and fight back, really fight back.
Yeah.
Bother them, call your MPs every day. Say, what are you doing about the COVID vaccines? They eventually have to answer one of us.
Yeah, and they're still giving them out. They're giving them
I know.
to 6-month-old babies.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, I think we're
Canada has the world record for the most medically assisted death. We're number one.
Yeah, we are. Well, it's actually worse than that, because the government of Canada stopped reporting May deaths in 2023. So we really don't know what's happened in the last 2 years or 3 years. They're reporting it for whatever that condition was that they got it for, whether that's depression or cancer or something. We're just going to wrap it up. But if this story could change just one thing in Canada, and I want to ask you both separately this same question, if the Sean Hartman story could change just one thing in Canada, what do you hope that would be? Dean, why don't you go ahead?
I don't know. We need a lot of work.
That's a good, honest answer.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be so cynical. I was not living in Canada for 10 years. I lived in Asia, and 2009 we moved back and set up here, and the country I came back to was very, very different than the country I left, and it's just deteriorated. And so I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, and you're absolutely. Dan, do you want to have a last word on this to our membership?
Well, Ken, I'm hoping this documentary will bring us back together as Canadians. We used to be the greatest people on earth. I was so proud growing up in Canada, living here. I've always said we're the greatest country on the planet. But I don't feel that way anymore, because we're so divided over this stupid COVID. We've never been divided like this.
No.
I get told I've had 5 death threats. I've had people tell me I'm insane for fighting for my son. Let's come back together as Canadians and talk to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we don't agree, let's talk this out.
You're right, and it's also, I was going to say, it's also the blame of this is on the media, because the media has done everything they can to turn Canadians against each other by sex, by race, by creed, by religion, by whether you're tall or short or thin or thick. They've done everything they can to destroy the fabric of our nation. But it's also motivated by the politicians, because they're paying for it. CBC wouldn't exist without the 1.4 billion it gets from you as a taxpayer, and CTV probably would be gone, Global, etc. So it's not just them sitting in Parliament, but it's their fingers that have penetrated into every institution, your churches, your daycares, your schools. It's a big load to carry for us, but we have to do it. James, you had the last remark.
Dan, I've got a little theater not too far from me, about 20 minutes away, and I'm going to do everything in my power to reach out to those people. If they agree to air your documentary, how would they go about contacting
you? I guess get in touch with Jason or Dean or
supportsean.ca. You can just put it. Actually, what you could do is you could go to sean.ca, and you could click the link and fill it out to say, I'd like to host a screening, and then put Jason in contact with your theater or just help facilitate that. And then Jason can pass all the information, help with everything else.
Okay, I know
And then
Jason.
you bug
so
that
that's-
theater. You bug that theater because the
I
theaters
will.
don't want to carry it. They don't want to carry
No,
it.
no,
They
no.
think
I'm
they're
all
going to
over it.
get. They think they're going to get protests, and I'm like, bring them. I would love protests. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Let's bring attention
We're-
to this. Let's
We're
talk about
rural
this.
Manitoba. I don't
Yeah.
know if they know what a protest is. So
Okay,
but
there you
that's
go.
all right.
But
all
we
good. We'll
surprisingly
get
we
her
haven't
done.
gotten too many protests. I've always been disappointed. We just get a very enthusiastic crowd to come and watch the films. So
All right, then. Thanks a lot for coming on, Dan and Dean. It was I very much appreciate you. It's good to see you again. I wish we were talking about something on a different topic, but the fact that you guys are pushing ahead and that you are trying to wake Canadians up on this, it's certainly a tribute to, as Rosalie was saying, a tribute to the love of a father for his son. So thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Dan.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Love you. Good
All right,
night.
All right,
Well
everybody. I
done.
guess that's a wrap for the week. And keep in mind, mark in your calendars that March 5th, Rosalie,
Yep.
at the Mateo Center. More information will be coming out, and I'm sure that Matthew from the Mateo Center will screen this documentary. I don't have a doubt about that. Rose, you might want to have a talk with Matthew, but I can't imagine that he wouldn't do that for us. He's got the facilities, he's got the screens, all the projectors, everything else in there. So
We have it at 7 p.m. Would everybody else prefer 6:30, or is like what you want to give a choice, Ken, or how do you want to?
I don't want to do that. I think we just decide. Other words, this person wants 5, that person wants 7.
Well, I said 7.
7 o'clock would be great. Yeah.
I booked it for 7.
Okay, we'll have a lot more information on that coming out and on the meeting. And like I said, everybody, I want to be seeing a whole bunch of people signing up for that learning program. I know you're it's really easy to use. We will take the time to go through it, but sign up for it. It's free. Start snooping around in there. If you see anything that you don't like or anything that needs improving, give me an email. Let me know. So with that, everybody, we will see you next week. We've got Frank Stronach on, and that should be a very interesting meeting. He's lately been quite a controversial person in Canada. I guess he always has been, but it should be a very interesting Zoom call again next week. So we'll see you next week, everybody. Have a great one.
Love y'all.
Thank you.